November 9th, 2010, the day when Call of Duty Zombies became mainstream. No longer was it unlocked by beating the campaign, it was ready to go upon launch with no prerequisites. You can load right into the menu and, my god, that menu. The menu says it all. It literally gives me chills to this day, welcoming you to the chaos. Everything here works. The warm color tone shift, zombified Hudson banging his hands relentlessly on the window pane as that classic zombie theme takes over most of the background noise, while you're forced to sit amongst the walls of TVs displaying the horrors of the undead for your helpless eyes to take in. Everything here is stylized to absolute perfection, giving a nice alternate take on the campaign's main menu. Treyarch popped off here, and with this game as a whole, and delivered the most consistent Treyarch Zombies experience to this date. I don't really think there's one bad map in this game. Some better than others? Absolutely. Some maps I might even avoid, but there's not one map in this game that is just straight up bad. Treyarch for launch thought mostly to play it safe, launching with the definitive most played Zombies map to date, the map that most people will think of when reminiscing on this mode, Kino Der Toten. The menu for Zombies, as stated earlier, was completely personalized for the mode this time around, with the original Damned theme echoing not only throughout the menu, but throughout Kino Der Toten the map as well. Fun fact, Kino was originally planned for DLC 4 for World at War that just never came into fruition. So instead of scrapping the project entirely, it was just reused as a launch map for Black Ops 1. The process of innovation in World at War hit its peak in Derice, which honestly made that map the perfect finale. Kino Der Toten picks up with our characters who have traveled through time to an abandoned former Nazi-ruled theater in 1960s Germany. Everything about this map's aesthetics is really well done, from the light peeking through the rubble of the building to the old theater screen displaying at times some truly disturbing imagery. Kino Der Toten wasn't the most ambitious launch map compared to future installments. However, Kino Der Toten successfully opened the doors to both new and old players to their next installment with open arms, Black Ops 1 Zombies. Now, while no new perks, except for Mule Kick's retroactive introduction post-launch, but we'll get to that, or new systems introduced inside of Kino Der Toten's gameplay loop, there were two key introductions alongside Kino's release, a new enemy type and a new means to kill the undead. With Kino came the introduction of one of the most controversial enemy types in the classic Zombies era, the Nova 6 crawlers. Here in Kino, we're introduced to the base variants of this enemy type, and honestly here they don't bother me so much. It could be, and will be, a lot worse in future maps and games. Fucking Alpha Omega. The Nova 6s were, by and large, far from dragging this map down in most people's rankings of their favorite maps. In all, I personally look at Nova 6s quite nostalgically. It was their first map, and the first map of Treyarch's fully realized Zombies experience from start to finish. This game's style and narrative stays the most consistent of any of the many Call of Duty Zombies titles released over the years. Yeah, not even Black Ops 3's story stays as cohesive as this game's, in my opinion. The story, while simple in comparison to newer titles in the series, this game remains on the same track for the entirety of the game, leading up to an epic conclusion that will change the course of this game series going forward. Speaking of style, what new toy did Treyarch cook up for us this time? Because despite what quotes may mistake for a DG3, this DG3 may just not be what it seems. Because it's the Thunder Gun. Yes, the mighty Thunder Gun was the blessing bestowed upon us by our boy Jimmy and the other Treyarch developers of 2010's Call of Duty Black Ops. It goes without saying that this map belongs on Black Ops because of the Thunder Gun. However, I'm guessing before what happened with Treyarch's second launch map, this weapon wasn't supposed to be here, because in the audio files on this map, not only is the DG3 mentioned by Richtofen directly when obtaining the Thunder Gun out of the box, but in 5, the game's second launch map, there are in fact quotes pertaining to the use of the Thunder Gun on 5 instead of the would-be become Winter's Howl.
Clear the deck! Music to my ears!
Had Kino come to World at War, it would have looked a bit different stylistically, according to some early concept art, and by the sheer amount of upgrades introduced to the IW engine for Black Ops 1, World at War is by far a more grittier experience overall. However, it has to be mentioned just how much of a difference these two engines feel. World at War was clunky, especially with its Zombies AI, as well as its perk and weapon systems. Zombies had the ability to absorb you like a black hole in World at War, as well as the players being able to escape unescapable situations. And Quick Revive just didn't function on solo at that point, and the Wonderwaffe had the ability to take away your Juggernog onto Reese. Black Ops 1 was rehauled from the ground up in terms of its feeling to play and quality, with the textures and animations also getting a considerable boost. All this combined with the cohesive vision from start to finish, the updated systems and texturing makes Black Ops 1, in my opinion, one of the best feeling zombies experiences to this date. Kino starts us off with a lot of familiarity, while also becoming an icon in its own right. 115 is probably going to be what a lot of longtime Zombies fans call the best song in the series, and it's a very respectable opinion. Overall, I don't really have much to say about Kino. It's a special map. While not innovative in the slightest, it's nostalgic. It kicked off one of the best installments in the series, and leaving plenty of us with memories I'm sure we'd all like to relive. The same may or may not apply to Black Ops 1's second launch map, depending on who you ask, that is. Of course, we're talking about the map 5. 5 is an interesting piece. For starters, it's technically the first map of Black Ops 1 when taking into account that Kino was initially developed for World at War in mind. Not only was 5 the first map developed for Black Ops 1, it was also the first Black Ops 1 map to feature the Death Machine power-up drop. Kino didn't actually feature this drop. It was instead introduced here on 5. It's important to note that every subsequent Black Ops 1 map features this power-up. 5 is probably one of the most unique maps made in this era of zombies. For the first time ever, we're playing as a celebrity cast, quote-unquote, and shifting the focus away from our original crew. These celebrities are actually political figures that were relevant in the 1960s. You have Robert McNamara, pre-Watergate Richard Nixon, Fidel Castro, sure, that makes sense. Bastard President John F. Kennedy, of course. Together, these four make for quite the crew. Taking a bit of 1960s politics and giving it this Call of Duty Zombies treatment is honestly really fun, and it's something I'd like to see more of from Treyarch again. These pieces of history were discussing the Cuban Missile Crisis inside of the United States Pentagon when a zombie outbreak had other plans for these four. We spawn in on the office floor immediately. The use of glass windows isn't a game changer by any means, however I would argue it does contribute to the change of aesthetic. Making our way down, using the elevator located in one of the hallways allows us to travel to the war room, which is unilaterally the de facto training area of the map, being the most wide open spaced area on the map. Although it's not saying much. Here we also get a glimpse of the DEFCON switches, which will become useful for accessing the Pack-a-Punch once the power is on. By flipping all the switches until it gets to DEFCON 5, we'll reveal the Pack-a-Punch. After clearing some barriers, we're greeted to the one last elevator, one last floor, and that floor is the laboratories. This is where the secrets lie. The failed experiments, the blood, the gore. The laboratories is also where the power switch and first box spawn will be. Once you flip that switch, you better get your ass ready, because hell's about to find its way out. For the first time ever since the introduction, instead of the dogs, which with Black Ops 1 have gotten significantly easier and less threatening, you get the Pentagon Thief, which the Pentagon Thief brings that threat back and with a vengeance. This man will zoom your way, and if he manages to catch you before you can take him out, he'll steal your weapon, hence the Thief in Pentagon Thief. He will then transport you and himself to the laboratories, where you have no choice but to chase him down for your weapon. Killing him now will grant you access to your gun and a max ammo drop. However, if you can kill him before he takes one of your weapons, he'll grant you not only with a max ammo drop, but a new and unique drop for this map, the Bonfire Sale, giving you a steep discount on the Pack-a-Punch, dropping the cost from 5,000 points to just 1,000. This gameplay mechanic really shakes things up and gives 5 a very unique experience and adds to the idea that every match of Call of Duty Zombies is unique. Some good games and some bad. Speaking of unique, we have the Wonder Weapon, or rather not so Wonder Weapon. For the first time in Call of Duty Zombies, we're introduced to a piece of shit for a Wonder Weapon, and that's the Winter's Howl. Remember when I said that 5 has audio quotes referencing the Thunder Gun? I guess our guy Jimmy thought that that was just too easy for 5, and instead of that being in the map, the team developed a purposefully bad Wonder Weapon for 5. And there's not much to say here in regards to the Wonder Weapon. It's It's shit. It's just a pile of shit. So how does one go for high rounds? Are there traps? Thankfully, yes. However, you actually have to obtain the trap parts from the lab and assemble them in the metal detectors and spawn. It's the first ever kind of buildable system in a zombies map, which is kind of cool. However, even with the traps, that doesn't change much of the fact that 5 is a difficult map, and for that I love it. It's a big change of pace compared to the likes of Kino and sets a new precedent for Black Ops 1, to expect the unexpected. Overall, I really like 5. I honestly might enjoy it more than Kino, simply because of the difficulty that this map offers. That and the amazing celebrity cast that you get, it's a unique experience, and while difficult, it's very enjoyable, especially with friends. And it's a great first map for Black Ops 1 and really shows off what Treyarch's going for here. There is one more launch map, but it's definitely not what you'd expect, and that is Dead Ops Arcade. This completely shifts the expectations, and rather a round-based survival mode, we're now playing a top-down arcade game. It can be quite fun, especially with friends. However, there really isn't much for me to talk about with this mode, as I myself have rarely ever played it. It's a neat addition, however, and added to the Black Ops 1 experience as a whole, and has had subsequent sequels in both Black Ops 3 and Cold War, respectively. Black Ops 1's DLC season kicked off with one hell of a launch, pun intended. Ascension, which takes place in an abandoned Soviet cosmodrome in the Soviet Union. It sets our characters out on a quest, like an actual objective-based quest, for the first time in the entire mode. Now granted, this is like baby quests compared to the likes of Origins, and even Shangri-La, which I'll be talking about more here soon. Ascension does, however, kick off a new precedent, one of which that will grow and expand throughout the mini-games to come. Easter eggs, more so main quests at this point, have become a staple for each and every Zombies release. The hunt is on, so they say. Ascension's main quest is incredibly barren. You must repair the Casimir mechanism. A voice reaches out to you when you spawn, pleading for help, urging you that she's coming, and that the mechanism must be repaired. And that man is Anton Gersh. This quest requires a Pack-a-Punch ray gun, Pack-a-Punch thunder gun, which return on this map, Matryoshka dolls, Gersh devices, and 4 players. Yes, this Easter egg required 4 players to get done properly. There are 5 nodes that need to be worked on, and once completed, Anton Gersh thanks the players for freeing him. Each player will then be given a death machine that lasts for 90 seconds instead of the normal 30. Soon after, the screen will turn black and white when Samantha Maxis screams. When her scream ends, the screen goes back to color. The node puzzle is completed, and with that, so is the Easter egg. So, a 90-second death machine is kind of a lame reward by today's standards. However, at the time, players have never seen anything like it, and it was a good foundation for what will become a staple in any Call of Duty Zombies map going forward. Moving away from the Easter egg, let's talk about the map. The map is really easy. However, it also can get really annoying, and you need to play with strategy in order to succeed. Replacing the Hellhounds, yet again, they've been excluded, with the introduction of perk-stealing monkeys. It was certainly a choice. Yes, this map introduced us to the infamous monkeys. Open the wrong doors and kiss your juggernaut goodbye. These fucks really got on my nerves when I was a kid, and it wasn't until learning the map and its strategies that I come to accept these little guys for what they are. Although even now, the monkeys really limit what you can do on the map in terms of initial setup. However, successfully killing the monkeys without letting them steal a perk will reward the player with not only a max ammo, but a free perk drop as well. Black Ops 1 really did like to play with the formula established in World at War, and I do appreciate Black Ops 1 for doing so, even if it didn't always pay off. Speaking of perks, this map introduces us for the first time to not one, but 2 brand new and iconic perks that quickly became fan favorites. Stamina Up, and of course, PhD Flopper. Kind of ironic to introduce 2 new perks on the map that introduced a game mechanic where you literally can lose perks, but I digress. Stamina Up and PhD both are amazing additions that not only added to what was possible, but also shook up people's strategies. Trading out Double Tap for PhD for that sick Mustang and Sally duo, that was also introduced in Black Ops 1. Versatility in gameplay is Black Ops 1's strong suit. It's unfortunate, however, that the same versatility is kneecapped a bit when you have the perk-stealing monkeys to worry about. Moving on to equipment, As mentioned earlier, both the Matryoshka dolls and Gersh devices were introduced on Ascension. Matryoshka dolls being 3 back-to-back explosions that decimate zombies that cross its path, or the Gersh device, which essentially acts like a monkey bomb on steroids, opening up a black hole and sucking up any zombies that cross its path. Ascension brought a lot new to the table in various ways. New equipment, new perks, and even objectives with the introduction of the coveted Easter egg. It's simply bogged down a bit by the new enemy type, space monkeys that steal your perks, forcing you to play certain ways or lose your perks every 5 or so rounds, and by the lackluster reward for completing the Easter egg. Overall though, Ascension's a really solid first DLC. I'll start by saying this, I absolutely love Call of the Dead. This map is a perfect encapsulation of everything that made the Black Ops 1 era of zombies so stellar. It's chaotic, it can be damn near unforgiving at times, but man is it a blast. This is Jason Blundell's second map that he oversaw in the Call of Duty Zombies series, the first being Der Riese. His influence here absolutely shows. While not as deep and sophisticated as his future work, the story told inside of Call of the Dead is at its best yet from what we've seen. Call of the Dead takes place in Siberia around 2011, where George A. Romero, the father of the zombie genre, is directing a new horror flick starring Danny Trejo, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Robert Englund, and Michael Rooker. These 4 are our playable characters for the map. During production, an outbreak occurs, and a zombie literally yeets George Romero on his back and takes him away for totally normal purposes. Cue the end of the intro, and we spawn and hear a huge crash of electricity. Out from the frozen lake, George emerges. This time though, he's got food on the brain, and we're the food. The main twist of this map is instead of hellhounds, Nova 6 crawlers that spawn occasionally, or a Pentagon thief, we have one giant boss zombie that follows us around the entire game, no matter what, with a few exceptions. Either kill him, which takes an excruciating amount of time, or use one of the 2 new wonder weapons on him, the VR-11, which will temporarily ease him. Speaking of wonder weapons, the VR-11 is shit, and it doesn't do much damage, and besides the Easter egg, or to temporarily get rid of George, it's essentially useless. Call of the Dead's second wonder weapon, the Scavenger, is actually really fun and powerful. However, it essentially requires PhD flopper, and the fall off after around 40 or so is its ultimate detriment. The only infinite damage wonder weapon for the players is the Return of the Wonderwaffe DG2, which can only be acquired by not only killing George, but killing George after completing the Easter egg. And about the Easter egg, this is the second main quest in the series, and the first that's actually able to be done solo. This quest is a huge step up compared to Ascension. The steps do vary ever so slightly from solo to co-op, however the result and story bear the same. Our Ultimus crew is trapped inside of a locked door after teleporting, and once close enough with the power on, we will hear the 4 original characters knocking on the door pleading for help, with Takio Valmir. Once interacting with the door, you hear Richtofen explain that the teleporter sent them too far in time and that they're now trapped inside of a dark room, asking the player on the other side of the door for help. Supposedly, the Casimir mechanism from Ascension had something to do with the teleporter malfunction, as Dempsey can be heard cursing Gersh. Despite the slip-up, which makes me think that it's not so much a slip-up, Richtofen is here for something that we the player must retrieve for him, the Golden Rod. Once going through the quest, which again varies from solo and co-op, you'll successfully teleport our Ultimus crew to their next objective, as well as you the player receiving all perks and the new Wonderwaffe Death Machine drop. While not super in-depth, this quest takes some bold swings toward the future of Zombies' main quests, actually giving players an incentive to complete it, and allowing both co-op and solo completion really adds to the overall experience. My personal favorite part of Call of the Dead is the gameplay itself and the location. Siberia is a wicked setting for a Zombies map, and Call of the Dead perfectly captures the cold, windy, and secluded environment. It's a blast to play and is one of my favorite maps to hop on, especially with friends. Call of the Dead is an exceptional map, adding versatility to the gameplay while also delivering an impeccable aura. It's a genuinely terrifying map to play. It's isolation at its best. Call of the Dead is also known for the appearance of the 3rd new perk of Black Ops 1, Deadshot Daiquiri, which, it's Deadshot. My one major gripe of the map would probably be the teleporting Pack-a-Punch, as I feel it doesn't really add much value and at times can just be buggy or frustrating with how long it can take to change spawns, and the lighthouse actually properly guiding the player. Overall though, Call of the Dead is an exceptional map and an absolute highlight of Black Ops 1's brilliance. Alright, how do I put this nicely? Shang is both my least played and least enjoyed Black Ops 1 experience. Its quest, while transformative for the series, the map itself just doesn't really resonate with me personally. It's tight as fuck.
That's what she said.
It's Jimmy Zielinski at his most chaotic. Once again, to supplement for a lack of mid-boss rounds, we're introduced to two new enemy types that will spawn amongst the zombies, the Shrieker and the Napalm zombies. And I'm gonna say, the designs of these enemies is top notch. The execution, however, is poor. For as tight of a map as Shangri-La is, I personally don't think the inclusion of two drastically different enemy types was the best move. Although I have to acknowledge that the chaos that these two added to the map was absolutely intentional, and in that regard, they pulled that aspect off. In terms of the aesthetics, this map is stunning, absolutely gorgeous. Even on the original Black Ops 1 version, it still holds up. It really is a Shangri-La for your eyeballs. And another aspect that I love about Shangri-La is the wonder weapon, the 3179 JGB215, or the Baby Maker for short. This wonder weapon is a blast to use. It shrinks zombies down to baby size and lowers the HP to 1. And from there, you can either eliminate a whole horde in seconds by using your secondary, or if you really want to have fun with it, you can just plow into those little fuckers like a bowling ball making its way down the lane to secure a strike. In addition to the fun new wonder weapon, there was the introduction of the spiked claymores. There were also some amazing new ways to traverse the map, such as the minecart and the geysers. Honestly, I think I've gone through all the positives of this map. One thing that really grinds my gears specifically when playing co-op is the map's pack-a-punch. Around the map, there are plates that are risen that you must apply pressure to these pressure plates to open the staircase at spawn where pack-a-punch lies. This scales between 1 and 4 plates, 1 per player. If you're playing a public match, it's not happening. It's frustrating that this kind of design philosophy passed because as someone who's played with randoms plenty of times, this is not a go-to choice for that very reasoning. Now, moving along from pure gameplay, the Easter egg is where this map really shines. This map tells a story of two men, Brock and Gary, who were two explorers that were on a quest looking to prove the existence of Agartha. On their quest, they accidentally triggered the eclipse, something that we must do in the Easter egg, and zombies attacked them. Gary died first and Brock later followed, and that's where our crew comes in. They must change their fate by completing steps of the puzzle, which sends them back to the future for every successfully completed step. When they finally reach the focusing stone, they travel back in time, and it becomes apparent to the players that they've been returned to the moment they discovered the temple, revealing that they are trapped in a never-ending time loop. This Easter egg is simply brilliant in terms of its storytelling and execution, and introduces the never-ending time loop idea to the zombie storyline, and it's by far the best main quest, not only so far, but in all of Black Ops 1. It's so depth and so story-driven for being so early into the series. It's impressive beyond anything else. As for the map overall, it's okay. I don't hate the map. It's just not a map that gravitates towards me. I like to train, and this map really isn't a training-friendly map. Well, we made it. The grand finale. The epic conclusion to Black Ops 1 Zombies is here, and Treyarch made sure you knew it too. Advertising was off the charts for this map, with ads depicting Treyarch's Zombie Labs, a place where scientists experiment on the undead. And this was really cool to see Treyarch do, especially considering how far the mode had come in such a short span of time, being locked behind the campaign as a bonus in Treyarch's last outing, A World at War, to this beautiful advertising campaign. The 4th DLC, Resurrection, was even zombies themed, with no new multiplayer maps. Instead, the original 4 World at War maps were remastered on Treyarch's newer and previously discussed much improved engine. These maps were made available day one to those who bought the special editions of the game. For everyone else though, especially if Black Ops 1 was their first zombies experience, they had a chance to play through the adventure from the very beginning. These remasters do make an attempt at blending in aspects from the original World at War versions by porting over the wall-buy weapons from their original versions. In addition, the Fire Sale and Death Machine power-ups were excluded from these maps, which are both new Black Ops 1 additions. Including the World at War maps really added to the prestigious feeling that was Moon. So much promotion and hype was built around the map, unlike anything we've seen before. Included with the DLC in addition to the maps was a free theme on PS3 and Xbox 360, as well as the digital Black Ops 1 Zombies soundtrack. So now with that brief history out of the way, let's talk about the main course, Moon. Moon is the culmination of everything that World at War and Black Ops 1 had established. We spawn in on Groom Lake. That's right. For the first time in the series, we actually have 2 spawn rooms, sort of. Groom Lake isn't round-based, rather time-based, with a never-ending spawn of zombies, where you can test your skills and your luck. In Groom Lake lies the Pack-a-Punch, Juggernog, and Speed Cola, the 2 of which alternate. Once the gate blocking the teleporter rises, you can then teleport to Griffin Station on the Moon. Here is where the round-based mechanics begin, starting you off on round 1 as per usual. What isn't usual, however, is the lack of oxygen. Thankfully, the folks on Griffin Station were nice enough to leave spacesuits lying around the map, including one facing directly in front of you when you teleport in. How convenient. The movement of the map is unlike any other, since it takes place on the Moon. A majority of the area is or can have the potential to play in a low-gravity environment, where the players and zombies will float in the air when moving at high speeds or when jumping. In addition to the new mechanics comes another new enemy, the Astronaut. While not as destructive as George, the Moon Man shares the space with the players for the entirety of the match, just like George. However, unlike George, he's relatively easy to kill. If you cross paths with him though, he'll suck you up, teleport you somewhere random, and take one of your perks with him. He's not the best enemy type, but also far from the worst, and honestly, as long as you keep your guard up, he's not all that threatening. The QED is a new equipment type added that essentially functions as the COD zombie version of a slot machine. Test your luck. This drop can give you free weapons, cause more zombie spawns, function as a normal grenade, and it can function as a weapon and shoot in 360 degrees, which could result massive damage to both zombies and yourself. One of my favorite aspects of Moon comes down to the map's wonder weapon, the Zap Gun / Wave Gun. That's right, 2 wonder weapons for the price of 1. The Zap Gun functions essentially as a dual-wield wonder waff that, instead of chain killing, only kills 1 zombies per shot. The Wave Gun essentially microwaves the zombies from the inside out, causing them to bubble up and pop before your eyes. This weapon does chain and can chain up to, I believe, 10 zombies at a time. I love the both of these weapons dearly, as they provide a lot more flexibility of players' playstyles as you get 2 weapons in one neat package. The 4th and final DLC also saw the addition of the 4th and final new perk of Black Ops 1, Mule Kick. This perk is, it's alright. What really grinds my gears about Mule Kick's addition specifically is the hype they manufactured upon its introduction. Unlike the other new perks introduced where they just started out on one map and carried on with the others, Mule Kick was retroactively added to every single map prior to Moon, including the original World at War remasters. And yes, that includes Noct. It baffles me even now as to why Mule Kick was given such treatment. The introduction of the Pack-a-Punch on Reese didn't lead Treyarch to retroactively add that machine to every prior World at War map, so why did they feel they had to do this with Mule Kick? Also, what about Stamina Up and PhD Flopper? I would have much rather just seen these perks added to Kino and 5 and the World at War maps respectively. Why just Mule Kick? Okay, ran over. Moon is Treyarch's first real attempt at a finale for the Zombies mode. World at War saw Reese close out World at War, when it's now widely known that Kino, our launch map for Black Ops 1, was originally going to be a 4th DLC for World at War. I think Reese served overall a really nice good finale for World at War, for what World at War was, a side mode in made in mere months. Black Ops 1 was Treyarch's first fully developed Zombies mode, and it's shown. Despite starting in familiar setting from the prior game, Treyarch quickly took some major swings with the likes of 5, Ascension, Call of the Dead, and Shangri-La, with each of those respective maps taking more and more risk, with varying results. Moon is a culmination of all of that risk, and with Moon they go all out and literally blow shit up in the process, and I guess I should mention that. Cryogenic Slumber Party and Richtofen's grand scheme. It all built up to this moment. While not technically as impressive as Shangri-La, its storytelling is still remarkable. Our characters truly come alive, and Richtofen shatters the veil.
I understood that reference.
It's important to note, this Easter egg on Black Ops 1 not only requires 4 players and the Call of the Dead Easter egg to have been completed prior for the field device, you were given at the end of the map's Easter egg. Alongside these prerequisites came the biggest RNG fetch quest Zombies Easter egg to date, It's an incredible Easter egg in terms of the broader story it attempts to tell. However, the constant need to test your luck with the mystery box to obtain the wonder weapons and equipment required can be repetitive. It's a shame the buildable system couldn't have been implemented here inside of Moon, where I think this map could have benefited from beautifully. Once you manage to get your hands on what's required, you can then do the few remaining steps to complete this Easter egg. First part, the revelation and transfer of power between Samantha and Richtofen. This amazing in-game event still holds up incredibly well all these years later. I still get chills whenever completing this map's Easter egg, and for good reason. It's just that good. There still remains the second part of this quest, Max's plan to halter Richtofen's efforts at ruling over the world and its remaining inhabitants by blowing it all to hell. Dempsey, Nikolai, Takeo, and Samantha are instructed to launch missiles to the Earth. They do it. The rockets are sent, the Earth lights up and is seemingly destroyed. Traveling back to Groom Lake after this event is so awesome because now the Earth is in chaos. We get to see the immediate effects of our actions, and it's beautiful. Moon is a mixed bag for me. In Black Ops 1, I think the Easter egg is what makes the map, and that is what it is. I think what really sold me on Moon, actually, was the remaster done in Black Ops 3 Zombies Chronicles, as the addition of being able to complete the Easter egg solo, as well as many quality of life improvements made in that game, really helped Moon stand the test of time. As is in Black Ops 1, it's still alright. Not quite as stellar as Call of the Dead in my opinion, but Moon manages to pull off the grand finale in wonderful fashion, setting up the sequel, Black Ops 2, for an amazing follow-up, and yeah, we'll get to that. Overall, Black Ops 1 was something incredibly special. It ushered in the golden era in stylish fashion. Black Ops 1 from start to finish keeps its identity consistent going forward, with each map taking bigger swings while also pushing the story to its epic climactic conclusion. It's the most consistent Zombies outing to this date, offering most content in a Zombies game at this point, with all the World at War maps receiving their own remasters inside of Black Ops 1, meaning Black Ops 1 had every piece of official Zombies content up until Black Ops 2. Black Ops 1 offered a one-of-a-kind adventure that players all these years later are yearning to return to. It may not be perfect, especially in the Easter egg department, which had its growing pains in Black Ops 1. However, it still remains the most consistent of them all. With that said, that's Black Ops 1. Thank you guys so much for watching and getting me past 50 subscribers. That's actually amazing. I plan on doing a retrospective Black Ops 2 here soon, but in the meantime, if there's anything else you'd like me to check out, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Anyway guys, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and have a good one.